Press the right button. Are we on? Good evening, everybody. Time for some music. Yes, we'll speak to you in about 15 minutes. We're here. We are live.
Are we
Yes,
good?
yes, everybody, and welcome to High on Homegrown, the cannabis podcast from Percy'sGrowroom.com. I am Mackie from the UK, and joining us this week, we have Monkey Doo.
Hello, everybody. Monkey down here in the Southeast US, living it up in the warm weather right now. Hoping everybody's having a good week. Beautiful weather down here, sunshine. Still no rain. I could use some of that.
Nice, but you're back. You're back with us. You're on the
I
mend.
am on the mend. Yeah, kind of the flu kind of kicked my ass for about a week there. It was a great trip to Oregon. I have to tell you though, it was fantastic. Got to go
Good,
see
good.
the annular eclipse. We're out at I don't remember the name of the lake we ended up at, but it was one of these situations.
It's
I
Crater
was
Lake,
with,
right? Was it Crater Lake?
well, that's not where we actually watched the eclipse because
All right.
as I we were there with some Oregon people who live in Oregon, very familiar with the weather down there, and they say in coastal Oregon in the mornings, you never know if you can have clouds or sun, mostly clouds usually. So they were ready to move, and so we just drove and drove and drove until we found an opening, and a little bit found a little bit of opening space, and actually did see the annual eclipse for about 30 seconds before the clouds came back. So that was good.
All right,
But
right. It's
we
something.
ended up driving since we're out there. We're only like 45 minutes from Crater Lake by the time we got to see it. Why heck not drive to Crater Lake? I've never been there before. It's one of those things that most people have heard of, so I gotta go see it for myself.
Yeah, for
Very
sure.
nice.
Considering you
When you
were up
have a
there, yeah.
collapsed volcano with two volcanoes inside of the collapsed volcano, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, as long as they're extinct volcanoes, that's pretty cool.
Dormant, not
Yeah.
extinct, dormant.
Okay, dormant. Damn.
They say my mic's a little low. I'm as
Yeah,
close as I
I
can.
just turned it up a little there.
Okay, that's good.
Is that better for everybody? I'm not sure. That
No
should be
telling,
better
really.
there. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, so we are
Well,
here this week on a Thursday, which is a little bit of a different day than usual. You know, usually we do this on a Sunday, but Monkey was ill over the weekend, so we postponed the grow guides until today. So we have this Thursday stream to talk about the grow guides, which is all about the optimal light distance, the optimal light distance for your cannabis plants. So that's what we're going to be talking about in just a little bit. But you know, we're going to have a little smoke, celebrate that Monkey's back, and then you have a lighter here. That's
now
so
I'm
unprepared.
going to let you have the smoke because I haven't smoked anything since I got back from Oregon. Honestly, had a
Wow,
lot of good
fuck.
stuff in Oregon. Had some decent stuff in Oregon, and I did have a little something when I got back. It was on Thursday, but by Friday I was done. It was strictly edibles for me, and I was using edibles strictly to medicate at that point.
Damn. That must have been some harsh flu that you had there, man. That's
I
crazy.
don't do it. Is there anything mild flu or non-horse flu? I don't really know. But yeah, it was ugly.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want it again, man.
Nah,
So
fuck that, innit?
by all means, everyone smoke up. I'm gonna wait. So
Right, cool, cool.
I'm on a little bit of a forced tea break.
Damn. But
Well,
yeah, that's it. It's needed sometimes, isn't it, man? Especially when you've been feeling like shit.
oh man, you know how when you got that flu cough and you cough so bad it hurts. I mean, the kind of cough
Mm.
that hurts like into your bones when you cough. That was
Oof.
that kind of cough, and I really don't want that right now. So I'll avoid the smoke for right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just a couple more days. Give it a
Yeah, give
break.
it by next Sunday. I'll be probably fine. Yeah,
Sweet. Yeah, so we got the show on Sunday as well.
we do.
That's only a few days away now, because you know it's it's
I
Thursday.
know.
It feels
That's
weird doing this on a Thursday. You know, the Grow Guides goes out tomorrow, so we'll
Tell me
record this
about
and
it.
then it'll be sent out tomorrow. So
Tell me about it.
feels
Crazy.
strange. Usually we do interviews on Thursdays.
So what are we
You know?
talking about today on this Grow Guide? DLI,
Uh,
right?
yeah, light distances, but we'll move to that in a second because I've got the screens ready and stuff to move to that. Is there anything else we need to cover? I mean,
Oh, no,
just might as well quickly update some forum news there. The
sure.
pumpkin carving competition has started over
Yes.
on Percy'sGrowroom.com. So if you have some pumpkins to enter, then get involved and you can win. Well, what's the prize, Monkey? It's a riser.
It is an Arizer Argo
That's the one.
vaporizer.
Nice.
Yes. So
Yeah,
you can get your Arizer Argo.
that's
You
right, man.
can
Check it out,
carve a
everybody.
pumpkin and win an Argo.
Go and check it out. Go check out the thread. It's got links to the actual vape and stuff that you could win. So go and check that out. You know, you can carve some pumpkins, man. Get involved in the Halloween spirit and stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Oh
It's
yeah.
gonna be fun.
Do it.
Yes, do it now. Anything else? I think that's about it, really.
I think so.
Yeah, don't forget to go download the cannabis news like we did at the start of the week if you haven't done that yet. And go and download this week's interview, which was with Bubble Man, BC Bubble Man, the creator of bubble
Oh,
bags.
that's
Yeah,
it. I had no idea he was creator. Bubble Man.
mm,
Who is this guy? He
yeah,
created
yeah,
bubble bags. Wow.
yeah, man. A good interview, good interview, and we'll get him back on again soon. I spoke to him on Instagram over the last couple of days, and he seems
Yeah.
keen to get back on. So that's always
His
good.
his little origin story about bubble bags was pretty cool. So yeah, definitely want to listen to that.
Indeed, is it different kind of cannabis history?
Hmm.
Very cool. Yeah, so I mean, is there anything else to add here? I think are we ready to move on to grow guides and discuss some things about grow lighting?
I think we can do that.
I think we can do it. Yeah, so hit that like button if you haven't done that already, everybody, and we'll go on to the grow guides. It's a little bit different this episode. Let's do it. Is that the correct buttons? Did the music work properly? It played out of my speaker instead of my headphones for some reason. I don't know. I
I
can fix
heard
that
it
in the
in
edit.
I heard it in my ears too, and I never hear it in my ears.
Yeah, yeah, it came out the speaker for some reason. I got that. Well, why has it done that? It has.
All right.
There is no reason. But there we go.
See that? I miss a week, and this is what happens.
It all goes to shit. I forgot to record it on Monday,
That's what
on
I heard,
Sunday.
man. See, you
Yeah.
do need me around this
God
place,
damn.
huh?
Of course, of course. It's teamwork. But yeah, who else there? Was that Jeff? Yeah. We haven't heard anything from Bubblerhawk so far, but we're
No.
gonna try to reach out to him somehow this week. See where the
Yeah,
fuck he is.
we've reached out as many ways as we can, and we have to go old school, which takes a long time. So we don't even know if that's going to work, but we'll try.
Mm-hmm. That's all we can do. We'll give it a shot. But anyway, yes, Grow Guides. We're on episode 87 of Grow Guides this week, and we're talking about the optimal light distances for your cannabis plants. And this can vary depending on what kind of light you use, what kind of plants you grow in. If you're growing outdoors, obviously you're going to have a light that's 93 million miles away, and there's not very much you can do to change that. So this is mainly for indoor growing. That's what we're going to be talking about today. So where do we even begin with this? Because this was something people had to pay more attention to when they were growing with the HID lights. Remember them days? And it was
Yeah,
pretty
man.
easy to know if if the light was too close to your plants, because you'd put your hand at the canopy and you'd leave it there for like 20 seconds. And if you got too hot, it means the light was too close to the plants. So you'd raise it up a little bit. And it was as simple as that. Nice, easy way to test it. But it's not so easy to do that with LEDs because the diodes are much more efficient. They don't give off as much heat as they used to, and definitely nowhere near as much heat as a HID puts out. So you can't do that back of the hand light test. So there's different things you have to do to try and decide what is the correct height for your light away from your plants. So it's a
Mhm.
tough one, man. So how do you decide with yours, Monkey? What's your technique?
Well, after I first started growing, I got so frustrated with light distances, which is seems to be a common problem for a lot of growers. Always looking for that denser bud, better quality, things like that. That I finally ended up. It was my third grow that I actually bought a par meter, and that's how I set my light distance now.
Nice.
It leaves zero doubt. I know exactly
Mm-hmm.
what I got
Mm-hmm.
every time, and it's made my life 100% easier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's
What do you? How do you
sorry.
set your distance, Mackie?
I'll just hang it up.
I'll have to admit that a lot of times that's what I'm doing, and I'll say, well, I better just reach up there and grab the meter just to be sure. And generally, I'm within 20%. I have to say,
Mm-hmm.
because you get so used after you own the same lights for a while, and you have a few grows under your belt, you get it used to seeing the way certain things look. And I can pretty much set my lights now strictly by looking at the plants and looking at how bright the tent looks, and I'll
Mm-hmm.
get within 20% of where I need to be. But that's just because, well, it's experience, but not everybody has that when you first start off.
Yeah, that's it. And I mean, anybody who's listened to this show for a while now knows I'm pretty lax and laid back with my growing techniques. I'm not too stuck in on making sure that everything's dialed in perfectly. You know, I don't even check my temperatures and humidity anymore. Never mind the height of my light. I just, you know, I just let things happen. You know, they do their thing. But I will obviously look out for if my plants get too close to the light, you know, and then I'd
Yeah.
raise the light at that point. But that doesn't happen very much. I like to keep the light as still as possible because the plants will grow accordingly to that light, you know, from the seedling to the veg stage. It's like when they get to a nice level, they'll kind of grow best at that area and won't stretch up too much. That's the way I think about it. It's probably incorrect, and you know, I could definitely get a palm meter and make more of an effort to get a better light distance with my plants, but I don't know. I don't like to make it too finicky like that. I like to just keep it simple, man. Keep it simple. But
Yeah,
I
I
probably
understand
could
what
do
you
better if I properly monitored the distance for sure. Sorry.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but at the same time, I'd have to say that there have been times when I thought everything was right and it really
Hmm.
wasn't.
Oh yeah, for
But
sure.
but I have to admit, even though I have meters for everything, for humidity, for temperatures, for light levels, you name it, I pretty much have a meter if I need to have to know what it is. There's a
Hmm.
meter somewhere around here for it,
Hmm.
and I only use them kind of to back up myself these days.
Yeah.
After you use these meters long enough and you get enough experience, like I said before, just exactly the same thing. You'll at the beginning, you're going to have a lot of questions. Once you have a little confidence, you're not going to be relying on your meters as much. You're going to be using what you've learned. It's a natural progression in any growth state.
Hmm. Hmm.
So yeah, I mean, start that way, but by all means, you'll get there. So
For
which
sure.
what do we have? What are we looking at now? First of all, we're
So
looking
what?
at Go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead. Go
I
ahead.
was just saying. Well, the first thing we're going to be looking at is what is the ideal distance between the cannabis plants and the grow lights. That's a good place to start.
Well, that's a terrible question, really, though, because that can go anything from a foot to 50 million miles, depending on what you like. You know what I'm saying?
If you got string that'll stretch it that far, yeah.
Yeah, true. But I mean, it depends on how big your light is.
Well, on average, because the majority of growers now are growing with LED grow lights, and on
Hmm.
average, you'll find that those kind of distances are between 18 inches and 24 inches, and that's what you'd see for most models. But with LED grow lights, you're gonna have the manufacturer who's gonna give a good idea of how far you should keep the light away from your plants. So you have to check, depending on what model you've got, you have to go and check the actual manufacturer to see how much light this light actually puts out and what their recommended distances are.
Yeah, that's the
When
best
it,
thing to do.
mhm,
Is
mhm.
is yeah, each manufacturer will have a power map with recommended heights, and that's definitely the best way to determine where you want to hang your lights. Go back
Yeah,
to the manufacturer and read the instructions. Guys, I know it's hard. I'm a guy too.
yeah.
I hate reading instructions, but when it comes to grow lights, definitely that little power map. If you don't read anything
Hmm.
else, read the power map, please.
That's right, and the PAR map as well. And this is what's that shit? What's the real name for PAR? It's the photoactive radiation. Is it something like that?
Yes, photoreceptive, photosynthetic active radiation.
Okay, yeah. And this is essentially the light that's going to get used by the plants to make photosynthesis. And when you have these grow lights, they'll have like the HLG grow lights on 2.3 micromoles or something like that. You know, some really fucking good highlights. And when you have the canopy, the light going down onto the plants, when you use your palm meter, you don't want it to be any more than 1,000 micromoles because that's how much the plant's going to be able to use over a daytime. Any more than that, and it's just going to be a waste of light, a waste of energy, and it can stress the plants out too much. So this is something you have to keep an eye out for. If you when you use your palm meter, if you use a palm meter, then just make sure that it doesn't go over 1,000 micromoles in any certain place around the tent.
Yeah. And those numbers are going to be, remember, when we use the numbers, don't treat them as gospel. 1,000 is okay. 1,001 is not going to kill your plant.
Hmm.
So, remember,
Yeah,
everything
yeah.
is relative here. So by all means, some plants can handle more than 1,000. Some might handle less, but 1,000 is a good top stop, rough estimate.
Yeah, just quickly interject there for Lee Davis. He's having a bit of breakdown there in chat, bro. Chill. He says, I keep breaking my stems with LST. Why do I fucking suck so much? You don't
He
suck,
doesn't.
bro. You're just learning. Mate,
Exactly.
we've all done it. Mate, I was nearly in tears once, and I nearly actually cried. Grown man crying over plants because it was like the fourth branch that had just snapped in my fingers as I'm trying to do some training. It was like it's broken again. But add some tape, man, and put a little stint against it so you know you don't have to put too much weight on, and it'll be fine in a couple of days. Just leave some
Yeah.
tape on it, man. It'll be all right, and just don't give up. Just keep practicing. What you've probably done is trained when it's too far into the flowering stage, or you know it's a little
Right.
bit further into veg, and then they become much more easily snappable. Do it
Yeah.
early, and the branches are more supple. But relax, man.
Yeah.
You don't
It,
suck. You're just learning.
that's right. If you have to do it late when the stems are hard like that, bend a small amount each day and just take up the tension very, very slowly. And the plant will bend much nicer for you that way. Try to get it
Hmm.
all in one point and you will snap stems.
That's right.
So do what you got
But
to do.
just tape it up and it'll be fine. But anyway, yeah, back to the light distance thing. Definitely check out the your manufacturer's instruction manual, which Monkey, as Monkey said there, it's a little bit difficult to do for us blokes. We don't need these instructions, but really do check them out because they know what they're talking about because they made the light you're using, you know. And
Yeah. And you'd be surprised what some of those instruction manuals say. I bought a light with a dimmer once, and the instructions actually recommended you not use the dimmer.
hmm hmm
It said the dimmer using the dimmer can damage the light long term. When possible, do not use dimmer. Like what the hell? Why'd you put it on here?
hmm
So yeah, by all means, read your instructions. You might be surprised at what you bought.
That's right. But usually between 18 and 24 inches is fine for most LED lights. And you can use a par meter to check as well, and that's going to tell you how much light is getting to the plants. And you want to be looking at 1,000 micromoles around the whole canopy. That's a good level. Any more than that, and it's too much. So to get the most efficiency out of your light, you want to try and get it as close to that as possible, and that's going to be
Yeah,
sweet. Plants are going to be happy.
I usually actually go a little bit lower than that. Instead of going 1,000 micromoles, I go from 750 to 1,000. I use 1,000 as a
Okay.
top stop, and
hmm
and my buds are rock solid. I haven't had any complaints there. I mean, I've got the power to go higher, but if
But
my
it's
plants are
probably
complaining, I
better.
don't want to push them. Yeah,
It's
I
probably
don't
better
want
to go for the 750 because at some stages the plants are growing so quickly. You don't want to be adjusting your lights every day. You probably haven't got time for that. If you have, then that's cool. But you
to.
know
Yeah,
the canopy's going to be raising up a few centimeters every day. So bear that in
yeah.
mind when you do
Now,
raise the lights. You don't want to do it every day.
now the 750 number you're talking about, this is a bloom number. Now, this is not a seedling number at all.
Okay. So you doing that when you're in flower?
Oh yeah. I mean,
Sweet.
well, I guess we should look at light light levels at various stages of growth is a very important factor.
Mm-hmm. But what we can do first is we'll discuss the how to tell if the plant, because that kind of ties into the whole seedling thing. You know, how can you tell if the light is too close or too far away from the plant? You know, so when it gets too close, uh, we'll talk about LEDs first, and then we'll talk about the HPS and stuff after that. But when LEDs get too close, you're going to see this because the heat doesn't come out so much, but you're going to get light bleaching. So the top of the plants, especially on the flowers, will turn white, and it looks crazy. There's no chlorophyll pigment in the plant, so it doesn't show green like it's supposed to. It will just start growing as pure white. And so if you see that start to happen on the top of your plants, then you should definitely raise your lights a few inches because that's causing damage to the plant. Have you seen that before, Monkey? Have you seen light
No,
bleaching from LEDs? You haven't seen it? No?
I'm not seeing that, but I have driven my lights too hard against plants, and I've had other symptoms I've seen, but I've not seen the bleaching parts.
Yeah, I've seen light bleaching before.
Yeah,
Yeah, I've
typically
had
what I'll
the
see if my light levels are too high on my plants with LEDs, I'll get start to see a little bit of a tip burn actually on the upper canopy.
Mhm.
Uh, and then very frequently, even if it's LED and even though it's not hot, you can see some rolling of the upper leaves because those leaves don't want all that extra light and they're trying to protect themselves. So they will fold themselves up to get out that light if they can.
Hmm.
And that's usually my first sign that my light level's too high. You know, she's
Yeah,
praying
yeah.
like crazy, and all of a sudden those leaves start rolling up and burning on the tips. I push too hard. I got to back off.
Hmm. Hmm. Because the plant gets tired as well. You know, this is the whole. And we'll go into this quickly. This whole DLI, the daily light intake. This is something that many people talk about when it gets more into the levels of advanced growing cannabis. But we don't like to go on these kind of levels. You know, this the DLI is not important for a home grower. That's more when you're trying to just gain little differences out of a commercial grow, because the little differences on a commercial grow make a big difference in the end. But if you're just a home grower with 1 or 2 tenths, then you don't need to worry about DLI and things like that. But as we said, with that 1000 par reaching the plants, that's what you want at the canopy. That's the maximum. Any more than that, and it's just going to eventually, as the day goes on, towards the end of the day, the plants are going to be tired. They've had too much light put down them, and then they just won't absorb it anyway. So it's really inefficient. You know, they'll start to shut down because they've absorbed more light than they need for that day, and you're just wasting electricity at that point. So you want to make sure that I think that's how it works anyway. That's my understanding. What do you think, Monkey? Am I correct? Kind of correct? What am I talking about?
Well, once the plant reaches what it needs, it's pretty much going to do whatever it has to do to prevent itself from getting destroyed. You know, if you
Hmm.
overwork those leaves too hard,
Hmm.
they can only take so much. You will
Yeah,
burn them. You
that's
will
right.
trash them. So the plant's going to go into survival mode. So yeah, if you're pushing it too hard, she's going to start trying to hide those leaves from the light in any way she can. I don't care if she may start dropping chlorophyll out, bleaching. She'll start using lots of water and things like that to try and compensate.
Mm,
You'll start seeing a lot of stress. Your DLI is too high.
yeah. Yeah, so and I just when it comes to us home growers, it's just something you don't need to worry about. If you can just get that light level right, the right distance in between the actual light and the top of the canopy, then you don't need to worry about DLI.
Yeah,
It's just making things more complicated than it needs to be, in my opinion. I know some
it
people like
is.
to talk about these acronyms and all these different things, the DLI, PPFD, and all this stuff, but realistically, for home growers, it's nothing too major that's going to make a big difference as long as your lights are at the correct levels, you know.
Yeah, that's correct. I mean, DLI, figuring out your DLI in an indoor tent could be very precarious and almost impossible to get accurate for
Mm.
one simple reason. That is because of this distance mean squared rule with lighting. The light
Yeah,
that
the
is reaching
inverse square law, is
yeah,
that what you
that
mean?
one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
take if you have a par meter or even a lumens light meter, stick it on the top of your plant. Now raise it 6 inches and read the difference. Now lower it 6 inches under the top and read the difference. It's a huge swing right there in a very small amount of movement. So there's
Hmm.
no accurate way of telling what the par level on your entire plant is going to be because the upper canopy is getting a certain amount and the lower canopy is in shade. Outside, it's completely different. Outside, par level is the same. You can raise and lower your par meter. You can get on a ladder if you want to. It's not going to make any difference because the sun is so far away. But in the tent, the DLI is hard to calculate accurately, nearly impossible to calculate 100% accurately because we can't measure the par level across the entire plant.
Hmm.
So for that reason, I don't even bother.
Yeah,
I use other methods to calculate how much light I need and grow a good crop.
that's right, man.
That's
So,
it.
and just to add there on the end, because we went off on the little tangent, the HPS, if the HPS is too close to the plants, they're actually gonna burn the plants, man, and
Yes,
that's
indeed.
not like they'll go brown and dry, and they'll crackle if you touch the leaves. They'll crumble because there's no moisture left in them. You know, with the heat from a HID light going onto the plants, then with fans blowing against it, it's just gonna suck all the
Mhm.
moisture out them leaves, and it's gonna just be brown and crispy.
Yeah, definitely. I would use the method that you were talking about earlier. You put your hand in front of the plant
Hmm.
to adjust that HPS distances there. That would
Yeah,
be my final check.
that's right, man. It's definitely in cases like this. It's definitely better for the plant for the light to be a little bit too far away than a little bit too close.
Yeah,
Because you're going
man.
to actually damage your plants if it is too close. So always err on the side of caution. And that's even with the LED lights as well, not just for the HID lights. LED lights are less likely to actually burn the plants, but they will if it's too close because they can still burn hot. But what they'll more do is damage the chlorophyll and bleach the plants to make them more white, especially around the
Mhm.
buds and the top of the plant. So just be careful of that stuff. So what about when the light is too far away from the plant? What are the symptoms there, Monkey? Do you want to cover that?
When the light's too far away from the plant, now if you're in vegetative growth, you're going to end up with really spindly, long growth. You're going to be stretching for the light. It's typical of what every plant's going to do in nature. It knows it needs a certain amount of light, and then it's learned by evolution. The higher it grows, the bigger it grows, the closer it's going to get to a light.
Mm-hmm.
So guess what it's going to do? It's going to reach for that light. Before you know it, you got a plant that's super tall, got 3 nodes on it, it's falling over sideways. That's what's going to happen with not enough light. Now, if you're in bloom, it won't be stretching so much, and your flowers might look good, but they're not going to get nice and dense and
Mm-hmm.
dank, and you're not going to get all that nice, beautiful frost on them because it doesn't have the energy to produce it.
Mm-hmm.
So those are the 2 things that I get when I don't have enough light. What do you get, Mackie?
Well, you see it often, for new growers, and a lot of new growers will do this. They'll get a seed in a pot and they'll put it on the windowsill, so
Yeah,
the light's coming through the window. And though it's getting plenty of light, it's not getting the right kind of light because it's passing through glass to get to the plant. And that plant will just stretch like a motherfucker.
it will.
It's putting most of its energy into growing as tall as possible because it thinks that it's like there's loads of tall plants around it and it needs to grow taller and taller to compete with the other plants to get the sunlight it needs because it's just like evolution is telling it that you're going to be too low down to get good light, so grow tall as quickly as possible. So if you see your plant stretching a lot and it doesn't really warrant it. If you're giving it plenty of light, if you got a good light over your plants and you got the fan blowing at them, but they continue to just grow taller and taller and get too stretchy, then lower your lights because it's probably the plant just reaching up trying to get hold of those, get closer to the light so you can get more lumens. Well,
He's like,
not
give me them
lumens.
photons. Give me them photons.
That's
That's
right.
it.
Lumens are for humans, as they say.
Exactly. And we're gonna go
Yeah.
with that later.
hmm So yeah, but as I said earlier, it's good for the plant for the light to be a little bit too far away from the plants than too close. So you just be careful with that shit. Yeah, don't bring them too close. And if you can use a palm meter, if you don't have a palm meter, then 18 to 24 inches. Monitor the plants. You check on it every day, and if you can bring it a little bit closer at a time, then do so. But if it needs to be backed up, then do that too. Just monitor it until you find a good level. But something between 18 and 24 inches is probably going to be best when you're growing with LED. Now, for
Yeah, there are,
seedlings, right? Sorry, Mikey.
no, I was gonna say there are some smartphone apps out there. If you don't have a light meter and you want to use something just so you have an idea, there are some smartphone apps out there that I'm not going to guarantee are going to be
Mm-hmm.
100% accurate, but what they will do is give you a consistent reference. So if you
Mm-hmm.
set up
Mm-hmm.
your grow and your plants are growing fantastic at this and they're in flower, and you downloaded this app and you stick it underneath there and you say, okay, right now it says it's at 600 and my buds are gorgeous. Don't worry about that 600 number. That don't mean a darn thing. But next time you grow a plant in flower, you'll have a number now that you can set your lights with.
Mm.
That's how I use those smartphone apps.
Oh, cool, cool.
Once you get a
Yeah, yeah.
reference, now you
Mm-hmm.
can use it. You
So it
don't
might
doesn't need
not
to be
be,
100%.
yeah, yeah. It
No,
might not be
it
telling you
might
the
not be on.
correct number, but it's a guideline for you to work around, isn't it? I know what you mean.
You're looking for repeatability.
Mm-hmm.
Once you have a data, if you can repeat it, you're good.
Yeah.
So, small movements, and you can use that meter. If you're doing good at 600, you want to try a little more, give it 625, see how she likes it. If she likes it, good. Now you got a new number. But
Mm-hmm.
one time you're going to push a little too hard and she's not going to like that number. When that
Yeah.
happens, you'll know what the top stop is.
And
So,
then when you look at the plant at different stages as well, the seedlings, when it, a few days after it's popped out of the ground, that's not going to take as much light. It's not going to need as much light as a plant does when it's in 8 weeks into flower. And it's got all of
very,
this plant matter to keep alive and all these buds
mhm.
to keep growing. So that's going to use up more light and it covers more surface area as well. So that's something you need to take into consideration. What people tend to do is when you're going through the seedling stage, is they'll have the light pretty far away from the plant. Say that'll be 24 inches. That'll be 2 foot away from the plant, maybe even 3 foot. and then as the plant's growing, they'll bring the light lower and lower down. Especially if the plant's stretching too much, just bring the light down very easily. It's very easy to do. Just speaking about that as well, how do you adjust the height of your lights? How are your lights hanging, Monkey? Do you have a specific tool that you use that's easy, makes it easier to raise and lower the light?
My lights right now are on what do you call them? Ratchet strap? No, not ratchet straps. Come on, Mackie.
Yeah,
They're
I
not
think that.
yo-yos. It's the new ones. What do you call them? Are they called? They're not called ratchet straps. Anyway, they're standard light hangers that come with the lights. HOG
Right,
sent them to
cool.
me.
Yeah, sweet. Yeah, they're good, man. I like those. Yeah,
Yeah,
I remember
I
growing
didn't.
before I even knew what the fuck they were. Just like hanging up with like proper ratchet straps and shit.
Yeah, I mean, I used to use chains
Hmm.
because chains are bulletproof. I didn't trust. Before we had chains, before we did these kind of straps they have now, they used to use something called yo-yos,
Hmm. Hmm.
and you would hang a thing about yo-yos though is they were not flawless. It might be work fine for you this time, and you next time you may come back to your tent and your light might be laying on top of your plants.
Oof.
So I didn't want to do that. So I used bulletproof. I went
Hmm.
chains. And then finally I waited, I had literally waited 3 years for everybody using these other things to find out, okay, nobody, I hadn't heard anything bad. So then I started using those.
Hmm.
But it's got to be bulletproof, whatever you hang them with. But these new things that are out there, they're very simple to adjust and
Hmm.
to make it
Just little
easy.
clicks, and it just click, 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 and you
Yeah,
can just
just it's based
yeah,
just
real
touch the
nice.
tab up and down you go. Yeah, no
Hmm.
problem at all. Pull
Hmm.
a cord up, touch the tab to go down. Fantastic. But I take a piece of string and a binder clip and a little small weight, and I put a line about every. I'm in the U.S. every 6 inches. You can put one every centimeter if you want. Every whatever you feel like, you know. But
Hmm.
hang it from the front of my light. Right there at the tip of my light is the first. That's zero. So the string hangs down. So now I can look at my string every day and tell exactly how far my plant is from that light, just by looking at it.
Sweet,
Yeah. Just by
nice.
hanging a string with lines on it.
Hmm. And do you adjust it as do you adjust the distance between the plants from veg to flower, or do you keep it the
Uh,
same distance from the plant the whole grow?
no, when I flip the flowers is it's adjusted for flower.
Mm.
Um, or when I see flower, and actually I do the lollipop is for an auto is when I would adjust for flower. Then
Mm.
I'll have to adjust that probably depending on the plant. I mean, if she's growing and she's really stretching, may have to move that up a little bit if those colas want to go elongate on it. I have had a few of them where the colas have grown into the plant, into the light. So
Hmm.
yeah,
That's a pain in the fucking ass, isn't it?
it is. But if you got room, just crank up you go.
Hmm. So, with regarding different strains, this is a question that came up in the listener mail, I think. But it's something that's interesting to cover. The different strains of cannabis. Do you think that different strains should be given different light levels? Do indica plants prefer to have the light closer or further away than the sativa plants, for example?
I'm not an expert on that, Mackie. Are
Yeah,
you?
no, I wouldn't know anything about that either.
I
I would
would
just
guess
say,
that there are some, but it's going to be depend upon the plants. It's going to depend upon a lot of factor.
hmm. Hmm.
I've actually had two different phenos of the same plant want different light levels.
Yeah,
And in that kind of case, you got to cater to the low guy. You can't overdrive him, so you got to
put
do
some
something
books
for him.
underneath it. That's all.
Well, I mean, you readjust the best you can, but you got to do what you got to do.
Hmm. Hmm. That's it. Keeping a level canopy is always an important thing to do. Don't leave one plant all the way down at the bottom of the tent while the rest of them all enjoying a shitload of light. Try and keep that canopy even.
Yeah, yeah.
Easier said than done sometimes. Pain in the ass.
So we were talking about seedling before. So when we first start seedling, we don't want a lot of light. How much light do we want?
Well, I don't even know really. I used to use a T5, but I don't use T5 anymore. I just put my Mars Hydro TS 2000. I just put that in
Well,
and let that do its
yeah,
thing for a few weeks before I throw in the
I've
invisible sunlight.
actually got actually gone to checking with a meter these days. And so my
Hmm.
seedlings will start between 250 and 350 par is where I'll have my seedlings go. And they'll spend about 3 weeks at that light level, maybe two, depending upon the plant.
Okay.
And but I mean, I'm not moving the light up or down at that point. If she grows up, she gets a little more light. If she doesn't grow up, she don't get any more light. So one of those things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man.
A few weeks later, she's a teenager. She'll probably get somewhere around 450 to 500 par, and as a teenager,
All right.
you know, and that's up to about maybe a foot tall as a teenager is what I would call it, and then that's usually a foot tall is about where I'm going to be thinking about flip because I'm in a small tent. I don't want a big plant, so
Yeah.
switch to 12-12. I don't usually and change the light level that much. I might kick it up maybe 500 to 600, maybe. Once she finishes stretch though, and I actually start seeing buds, 750, bam, straight on, no problem. Minimum
Mm-hmm.
750 to 850. Mid bloom, at least 850, maybe 900 to 1,000. And then the last 3 weeks before she goes down is where I'll be dropping the par level. This is highly controversial. A lot of people say I'm doing something stupid here. It's been working for me, so I keep doing it. But last week, 2 weeks, when I'm, not feeding anything anymore and just kind of letting everything
How
do
many
its
weeks
thing.
was that? Sorry.
I don't, how many was it, Mac? 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
I'll drop the par level to about 400 and just let the plant cruise. And it really does seem to help my plants in my tent under my circumstances fatten up a little bit.
All right. Yeah, man. Whatever works for you, isn't it? So you have a par meter, do you?
I do. It's not a real fancy high priced one, but yeah, it is a proper
Mm-hmm.
par meter. This is just a hydro farmer par meter. They don't even make them anymore.
All
A few
right.
of us
Okay.
bought them. They were good enough to do what I have to do. They're not a reference quality par meter. They're not an apogee, blah 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 blah. But it's not
Mm-hmm.
$400 either. I mean, I
Right.
bought it for a fourth of that. So yeah,
Yeah. So can you get a cheap one? How much is the cheap one? How much do you get yours for?
mine, like I said, mine was just a little over 100 US when I bought
Right.
it.
Okay.
Um, don't buy it up when it's not available anymore. But I think you can get a real par meter for around $100. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I know Woody had bought one over at the site. It's a different brand than the Hydro Farmer, but he paid roughly what I paid for it. So there are some reasonably priced ones out there. And I know money is a factor for a lot of growers. But this is something that if you buy it, you will buy it once, and it will take those headaches and those questions out of your head about, do I have enough light? Should I raise it? Should I lower it? When I bought the par meter, I stopped messing with my light
Mm-hmm.
100%.
Nice. You know,
It was
it
worth the money,
won't
man.
be long until we have, probably they're already out there, but like these adjusters for the lights that are just a height by themselves, and a palm meter that's just kept,
Oh,
yeah, at canopy level, so it just adjusts automatically on its own.
well, there's something called grow cabinets out there that already incorporate that technology. It's been
Right.
out, they've been out available now for 10 years. Don't know how they work. They're expensive as heck, and I know I can grow better bud than they can grow, but they're
Mm-hmm.
supposed to be growing for idiots, if you will. It's supposed to do
Yeah.
all the work for you. You plant the plant, buy their stuff, their nutrients, and their light and their stuff, and they say it'll work. So full
Mm-hmm.
power to them. But Percy's will teach you how not to buy their stuff and do better than that.
Yeah. So an important thing to mention here as well is, if you're using, there's loads of different kinds of lights. You got the HPS lights, the LED lights, CFLs, and CMH. There's so many different kinds. So some of them are going to have a better footprint than other lights do as well. Some of them are going to be able to reach right into the corners and cover the whole lot of the canopy evenly, and others are gonna just point down pretty much into the middle, and then there's going to be light that spread out to the outsides. So when you do these checks, it depends on the light you have. Do it all around the tent if you have one of these lights with a good footprint, and get a good measurement from like the top left corner, bottom right corner, all as many different positions in the tent as you can, so you get a good idea of what the average is across the whole canopy. When it comes to single bulbs that are just burning in the middle, then you just want to, it's always going to diminish the further away it gets away from the light. So it's just the center really that you want to be monitoring how much power is getting to the plants from there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But as I say, I mean, this stuff isn't majorly important in my opinion. I don't think it's majorly important. You know, if you start to think about too many things, then it becomes more challenging. You feel more stressed when things go wrong, and you're just checking everything to make sure everything's in the right level all the time. You're not just enjoying the process of growing. So only start getting involved in things like this if you're having major problems with your light distances. You know, if you're commonly making mistakes and getting burns on your plants, or your plants are too stretchy. You know, if everything's fine, then don't worry about this too much. If you're keeping the lights between 18 and 24 inches away from the plants at all times, you're probably doing okay. You got to hone it in to make it better, make it tidier, get closer to the numbers that are more ideal, but don't feel too stressed to do that kind of thing, you know?
No, don't stress out by growing by the numbers. You do
Hmm.
that, you're not going to have any fun. And this is
Hmm.
supposed to be fun, guys.
That's right. But at the
At
same
least it
time,
is
if
for
you think
me.
it's fun, yeah, some people think that it's fun to monitor all these numbers and shit. And if that's your game, then play it, man. You know, and
Yeah,
enjoy
man.
it. Do your thing. Like, just have fun while you're doing it. If you find doing this kind of thing is taking too much fun out of the game, then stop playing it, man. Then just go back to simple. I like to do
That was me.
things simple. I like
Me
to
too,
just
man.
think that these plants grow out there in the wild in a wide range of different conditions, man. It, I can try and aim for perfection in the grow tent if I wanted to, but really, the plants are gonna do just fine. Oh.
Yeah, man. I try to aim for perfection, but I learned to grow so many, not cannabis, but plants, just general plants,
Hmm.
vegetables, flowers, plants, trees. Years ago, many, many years ago, I took this hobby up. So I feel like I want to do the same thing in my tent. I want to grow them by how they feel. If they look happy, I'm
Hmm.
doing it right. If they're not happy, I got to fix something. So,
Hmm.
but I'm not a numbers grower. I never have been because, well, plants don't respond to numbers. I can tell them your numbers are right. You know what they're going to do? They're going to die anyway.
Yeah.
So I'd rather go ahead and just read them and learn how to just get the feel of the plant.
Hmm.
It works better for me. But like Mackie said, if you're into the numbers and you want to know that all your numbers are in, by all means, go for it. But
Yeah.
for me, buying the meter and knowing my number was right, putting the meter on the shelf and not having to deal with it until the next grow
Hmm.
was my blessing.
Nice. Yeah. Yeah, man. And it's nice and easy. You check it once, it's done. You don't need to be fucking around every
Exactly.
day trying to do things. But this
I
is
don't
one of
have a
the
doubt in
common
my mind.
mistakes. Yeah, yeah. And you can't put price on peace of mind, can you? You know.
No, man, no way.
Yeah. But just to remember, there's common mistakes that people will make sometimes, and one of those is not raising the light as the plant grows. So just bear that in mind. And when you're going through those veg stages, and especially the stretch in between veg and flower, then the plants are going to grow fast, man. And the faster they grow, the quicker it is before they're going to be into that light. You know, so bear that in mind as well. If you're in those quick growing stretchy stages, then you might need to monitor that light and raise it every day or every couple of days if it isn't far away in the first place. So
Mhm.
it's your grow, you know, you have to decide what's best for you. Maybe you can adjust it every day, maybe you don't have time for that, so you need to raise it up a little bit earlier at the start of the week. You know, you just figure out what works best for you, but just make sure that them plants don't grow too close to the lights, because that can burn it and shit, you know.
Well, what's about these LED lights that look so funny, Mackie? These pink ones,
The
blurple.
blurples and shit. See, I don't know what it. I don't know enough about that to. I mean, they don't look great. You know, when people take pictures of the plants and be like, "What's wrong with
Yeah.
this plant?" and they got a blurple light on it, it's like, can't help you, mate. But.
No, because the plant looks black when they take a picture in blurple light. So yeah, if you
Mhm,
guys
mhm.
ever do that, if any of our listeners are doing that, by all means, before you post your pictures on a website for help, take it under white light for us, please. Thank you.
Mhm, mhm. I mean, I've heard in lots of places that red light is the most efficient light to make. So it was just cheaper back in the days of purple lights to have the red diodes, because it was just an easy and cheap way for the diodes to be putting out light and being as efficient as possible, you know.
Yeah.
So and it worked. I've grown plants under purple and it was fine, man. Really, we nice dense nugs and shit. I can't complain. It was good stuff, man. But some.
I've used blurples. I still have some on the shelf. I'll occasionally use
Hmm.
blurples,
Hmm.
but I found that I didn't get as tight of a nug out of the blurples as I do out of the pure white.
Hmm.
I don't know if that's because the pure white is just denser or something like that. But the blurples definitely, I want to warn everybody out there, if you haven't already got a headache from working under your blurple lights, you soon
Hmm.
will. So by all means, don't work under blurple lights. They hurt your eyes. They're horrible for your eyes.
Yeah, I mean, the way I see it is as close to the actual spectrum of the sun is the best way you want to go, man. So, that white kind of light there's loads of science been done by all of these companies, especially over the last 10 years, on what is the correct spectrum for growing plants indoors. And these guys got fucking scientists on it, man, that know their shit and work
Yeah.
hard to design the most efficient grow lights possible. HLG, for example, they know what the fuck they're doing, man. They'll put the research in to make the best of the best. So if they show that the white lights with the red and the blue diodes are good, mostly white, but with some red and some blue, some infrared and some ultraviolet.
Mm-hmm.
Well, not ultraviolet, that's too far, but deep purple, deep blue.
Yeah.
If they say that's the way to go, then I trust their judgment, man. They know what they're talking about.
Yeah. I mean, the new ones that I've got now are fantastic. And it seems like every couple of years they're making advances in these things. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff. But the blurple still works out there. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
if that's what you have in your tent and that's what you have to use, don't feel bad about it. There's a lot of
That's
people
right.
still growing under blurple. And you know what? I've grown some pretty damn good dank under blurple.
Mm-hmm.
It's not always about the light. It's about the skill of the grower.
That's it. And just work with what you got. If that's what you have, then just work with it, man. Don't be sitting there thinking you can't grow because the only light you have is blurple. Fire up the fucking blurple, man. Do it.
Yeah. Grow you some grow some dank under the blurple. Grow, I mean, just some fire. You can
Hmm.
do it.
I mean, this is pretty much it, really, when it comes to light distances for your cannabis plants. You have to, again, we'll just quickly summarize here. If you are growing with LED, check the manufacturer's guidelines because they will tell you what a good level is going to be. You can also use a par meter to get it to the correct level of par above the plants, well, the correct height above the plants to give the right amount of par down to the plants. So you can use a par meter to check that as well if you wanted to. And then if you're still growing with HRD lights, the back of the hand trick always works nicely. Get the light as close as you can, but not to the point where it's burning the plants. Put your hand over the top of the canopy and leave it there for a minute or so and see if 20 seconds should be plenty. But a
Mm-hmm.
minute if you can, and then if your hand feels uncomfortable there because of the heat, then the light's too close. Pretty simple to do
Mm-hmm.
that.
Oh
And of
yeah.
course, if it's too far away, then the plants are going to stretch and it's just not going to grow as compact as it should do. So you might need to lower it. But just check the manual. So that's the best thing you do. Check the manual on your LED manufacturer. If you got the HPS, use the back of the hand trick. That will steer you right most of the time. But there's always differences sometimes. So, anything to add there, Monkey? You got anything to
Now I'm just reading there and Twisted. He said he just donated his last blurple light and an auto seedling to a new grower to give them a good start. That's a
Yeah, man.
great thing to do with your old blurples.
That's right.
Give them
One of
to
the
a new
blurples I
grower,
had,
get them going.
yeah, the blurple I had, man, was the Mars Epistar. I can't remember what it was when LEDs first came out. And Firetop needed a light, so I passed that on to him. And it's blurple, but
That's
it's
the
great
best way
fucking
to
light,
do.
man.
It'll grow a weed, man. That's what you need.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Free light. That's the good thing. Free light.
Yeah. Billy Bond says my golfer mate must have a par meter. He said he got 3 par last week. Badum tsh, badum tish. There you go, Billy. Nice. Yeah, so if you have any questions about any of this, you know what to do. You can find us over at Percy'sGrowroom.com. We have a whole section on lighting over there. So if you have any questions about any of this kind of stuff, then feel free to start a thread over at the forum. And there's lots of people who will be able to answer the questions for you. So, and of course, this is a big subject as well. There's a lot that goes into the lighting and how it works with cannabis plants. And there is a lot to cover with this subject, not just about the light
Yeah.
distances, but what kind of light, what spectrum, how often, how many times a day. There's so much to cover, so there's a lot of stuff out there online, on all these different YouTube channels, different podcasts. You can go very deep when it comes to the grow lighting for loads of different angles. So,
By all means. Yeah, we'll
hmm
give you a recommendation on that one right there. Shane from Migro has excellent
hmm
videos on all kind of factors in lighting,
that's
including
right.
things like DLI and things such as that.
Hmm
We always like to recommend Shane because he's very fair with
Yeah,
everybody.
yeah,
So he'll tell you if the light's good, he'll tell you. If it's bad, he'll tell you. You
yeah.
know.
Just search for Migro YouTube channel. That's Migro.
But
And
while we're on the subject of different kinds of lights, I'm going to go ahead and make the statement that, LED lights is a huge variance out there in the market. You can see them. I mean, it has to be. You got lights out there for as low as $50 and as high as $5,000. So, that tells you right there that not every light is the same. So you're going to have to learn on every light you get. The distances are different. The intensities are different. The
mhm,
voltages, everything. So every time you start up, you're going to have to learn a new light.
yeah, and it won't take you long to do it.
No, take you one grow probably,
Yeah,
maybe two.
it'll be fine.
Yeah, once you get there.
Right, so let's cover some listener mail now, I think, because we have some listener mail that was sent to us for Sunday, but obviously we haven't been able to cover it until now. We have some questions. Where are we? From Filmy Bowls. Here is my question for optional light exposure. I was, I don't know what that means, is I was growing a Caribbean or Asian strain, then on my next grow, when with a Pakistani mountain strain, would my light brightness need to change depending on the climate or region of the strains of the cannabis? And yeah, this is the question which I mentioned earlier. And it's
I've always been told that sativas take higher light, but I've never noticed any bad factors in my tent if I don't give them more than I would give an
Mhm.
indica plant. So I would answer strictly from my experience. You'd probably be fine just with the same numbers.
Yeah. And each plant is different, and it doesn't matter whether it's indica sativa or where it's come from. I think just that any plant will handle things differently.
Yep.
So just monitor each different plant, regardless if you're throwing in, a Caribbean strain, and then the next grow you're doing another Caribbean strain. Doesn't mean that the light distance is going to be the same as the last plant because they're going to be different plants. So just monitor it for each different plant, regardless of where the genetics originate from.
Mhm.
That would be the best idea, I would think. But yeah, it's a good question, man. Good question. Yeah, interesting. Like up in the high up in the Himalaya with this them sativas, the atmosphere is thinner up there, so more light gets through, more UV gets through. So
Exactly.
it's a different kind of light it's getting when it's high up in the mountains compared to down at sea level.
Yeah, I know it actually in Colorado when they do greenhouses on mountaintops, they'll carbon dioxide
Mm,
supplement because of that. Higher
mm,
intensity to get higher light intensity at higher altitude because there's less cloud, less atmosphere, more UV, all that good
mm-hmm,
stuff. So that they
mm-hmm.
end up pumping in CO2 into the greenhouses
That's
sometimes.
right, man. And that's it. If you're giving your plant too much light, something we didn't add in the grow guides there. But if you're giving the plant too much light, then you can supplement CO2 and the plant will be able to go for a little bit longer. It's like a little bit of plant steroids, adding some CO2.
Yeah, you give them a little extra something to eat on there so they don't
Hmm
starve to death.
But again, for a home grower, it's getting a little bit complex. We keep it simple because we're just growing a few plants at home. It's try and stick to that. Just try and keep it simple as possible. Don't add
Mhm.
CO2 to the grow. In my
I wouldn't.
opinion, I wouldn't think it was the right way to go. Just for a home grow, then I mean, again, if you want to, then you'll grow, man. Your thing.
Yeah,
Do it
it's
if you
going to be
want to.
expensive. It's going to be
Hmm
wild. Yeah, if you're going to do it, take pictures, show us, but I'm not going to recommend it.
Yeah. So yeah, thanks for the question there, Phil. I think we have another one for Phil a little bit later on, but we got a question from Capellini. I think is the way to pronounce this guy's name. Here is a question for you about watering. In a soil grow, how great a difference it makes to water right after the day cycle starts, e.g., 2 hours, or right before the night cycle starts, e.g., 2 hours. Like, so, 2 hours before the lights come on, or 2 hours before the lights come off. What's the difference? Does it make a difference in the nutrient uptake of the nutrients, photosynthesis, etc.? In my experience, watering is the most alchemy bit of indoor growing, trying to find out the right amount, frequency, pressure, duration, direction, temperature, and whatnot, all relative. So yeah, good question, man. Good question. And The watering, especially in the soil grow. If you're growing in cocoa, watering simple. Do it every fucking day, easy.
Yeah,
But
two,
when
three
it
times a
comes
day
to
if you
this,
feel like it.
yeah,
Yeah,
just fucking water the plants, man.
there's no rules. Yeah, do it.
Yeah,
Skip
but
a
when
day if you
it
feel like it, but do it. Yeah.
yeah, when it comes to soil and when it comes to living soil and these different kinds of soils, it can be a little bit finicky when it comes to watering. You can easily overwater plants. If you water them too much and get too much runoff, then you're gonna wash nutrients and bacteria out the plant that the plant needs to keep in its root zone. It's hard to find that balance when it comes to growing in soil. I can see where you're asking questions like this, but what I would think anyway is the better time to water the plant is just after the lights have come on. So the plant's waking up. Give it an hour for the plant to really wake up, and because that's essentially what they're doing for the first hour. And then after that, when they're fully waking up and they're ready to do their thing, to photosynthesize, to make food and absorb nutrients, then water them. And then you'd leave it for, I don't know, it depends on the size of the pot, it depends how big the plant is, but generally people would leave it until the plant is pretty much dry so you can lift up the pot nice and easily. Because when it's got loads of water in, it's heavy. When it hasn't, it's light. And when you're growing in soil, you need that wet dry cycle backwards and forwards. You need to water it well, then let it dry out a bit. But then when you dry it out too much, you can kill off a load of the bacteria in the medium, which you don't want to do when you're growing with living soils as well. So it's a real difficult one, man. What do you think on this, Monkey? What was you saying about this?
Well, I'm a cocoa grower, and I've only taken forays into soil growing cannabis recently, so I don't have a lot of information on it. But I will tell you, I'm in agreement with what you say because that is my normal practice. I always water first thing in the morning.
Hmm.
I don't care if it's cocoa or soil. That's my routine. Get up in the morning, make coffee, go take care of plants. Bam, bam, bam. One, two, three. It's just routine. So I'm
Yeah,
usually
yeah,
watering in the morning. Soil watering, I will agree with you, not as straightforward as cocoa watering, but at the same time, something you just got to learn.
hmm just comes with practice, man. But I would say I would agree with you, Monkey, that the morning time, like an hour after the plants, after the lights have come on and the plants have woken up, that's a good time to water your plants, man. If you're watering at night, then the plants are asleep for one. I mean, it's going to absorb some nutrients, but I'm sure they won't be as active as they are in the daytime because they're essentially sleeping. And then it's it can get colder at night as well, so the water's just going to sit there, and it don't seem right, And then the plants, for you to go in there and water them, you need some kind of lights, and then the plants getting lights during the dark hours as well, which they don't like that either. And then you have to wait for runoff. If any comes, you've got to scoop that up. And again, that's going to be in the dark. It's getting light it shouldn't be getting. So just water in the daytime when the lights are on. That's got to be the best thing. And when the lights are off, don't disturb the plants at all.
Hmm.
I think that would be the right way to go.
Yeah,
But
watering late in the day or at lights off would scare me in especially on a flowering plant because it's going to tend to raise your humidity in your tent.
yeah.
Man, I
Hmm.
can only just imagine if you got your plants are in fabric pots at that. My gosh, you're really going to raise humidity watering at
Yeah.
night.
Yeah.
So something that I would probably not do.
Hmm. Daytime's best. Um, Anything else to add there? Yeah, just the timing in between waterings as well. That's just going to depend on too many factors. But if you need help with this, if you need a little bit more help, go over to the forum and start a post, and we'll be happy to tell us what part size you're in, how big your plant is, what week you're in, how much you're feeding, how often, how much runoff you're getting. Give us as much information you can, and we can help you out to try and get a good watering system down. That's going to be more effective. You're not on your own. We can help you try and figure this out and get you up to the ideal watering system. It does take time to figure out what's best sometimes, but just ask for help if you need it, man. We're always happy to help.
Maybe I'll put a post up over at Percy's. I'm having to learn this watering cycle with the soil myself right now. So not that
Hmm.
tough, but let's just say you don't get it right the first time usually. I haven't made any bad, terrible mistakes, but I'm not perfect.
Yeah, none of us are. We all learn. And then, like now, I've got another question from Phil, but the question that I have here from Phil is the same as the question that we had up here from Phil. So there isn't another question from Phil.
Okay.
Yeah. So, mistakes get made easily all the time.
Yeah, that's what Sparky says. Blue mats for soil is his water, and that's his
Yeah,
mojo.
yeah. People seem to really enjoy using those blue mats, man. They seem to do a good job. So check those out if you think that will help you there. That's
Well,
a
if I end up going to staying in soil for any length of time, I will end up having a look at the blue mat a little bit and see what's up with that.
Oh, that's right,
Because
because you have some plants in soil now.
yeah, I did it strictly because I was going away and couldn't tend them. But once you're in soil, you don't go back to cocoa with them. So you know, maybe next run I'll be back in cocoa, but for or at least the next 6 to 8 weeks, I'm going to be in soil
Hmm.
mostly. I say I still have a cocoa run going too.
Yeah, man. I hope it goes well for you. I hope you enjoy it, man.
Yeah. Well, we'll
It'll be
see.
cool. That's it, innit? We'll see. We'll see what happens. That's all you. That's all. That's all you can do. Just have fun with it. See if it's cool. See if you want to do it again.
Yeah, I'm really more interested in seeing the differences in the harvest than anything else. I mean, I don't need a better grow style. I have a good grow style, one that fits my lifestyle and everything else like that. Definitely can feed myself here and keep myself fed, so I'm not worried about the quantity of the yields. This is, if soil doesn't give me something else that the cocoa won't, well, I'll be back in cocoa.
Hmm. Hmm.
But if the soil throws me something that cocoa doesn't, maybe you never know. Keep open minded. Have
That's
more
right,
fun
man.
that way.
That's it. And just remember, this is your hobby to some extent. I know a lot of us are growing for medical reasons or even recreational reasons, and we pretty much rely on those harvests getting there, so we don't have to go out and buy nasty street weed or just
Hmm.
cannabis at ridiculous prices but low quality. So we always like to keep ourselves within our own supplies, but it doesn't mean that you don't take risks sometimes. Just change to a different medium. Just keep things interesting, man. Don't get all monotonous and just
Or
doing the
just
same
learn.
thing over and over again. Yeah, keep learning, man. Keep learning. Keep having
Exactly.
fun with it. It's a hobby.
It is a hobby. That's supposed to
Mm,
be fun. So yeah, if you're not having fun, you're not doing it right.
that's right. And just to add here on the end, as I said, this is a complex subject when you're talking about light distances and lighting in general when it comes to cannabis plants. And we are no experts. You all know that by now. We just present our opinions on how things work and what we think about things, and just offer the best advice we can offer in the most simple way possible. We like to put it across in a simple way. So if you have questions, you can come and ask us over on Percy's Grow Room. We got growers out there that know more about lighting than we do, or you can check out the My Grow YouTube channel. Shane knows what he's talking about, and he's honest. He gives good reviews on things, so check that out as well if you need any extra help there. But yeah,
That's the
if you
perfect thing about Percy's. We have experts in just about anything you need to know over there. We might not be them, but we have someone there who
hmm
probably can help you.
but we are there. Yeah,
Oh yeah, we definitely there. You
yeah,
can definitely find us at Percy's. We may not be, there that minute. Leave us a message. We'll be there real quick.
that's right, man. And if you're not a member already, then get in quick because it's free now, but that's not going to be the case next month. All right,
Yeah, man,
you're going to
I
have to
heard about
charge
November.
10 million won for membership. Yeah.
Okay.
10 million yuan. How do you even say that word properly? God damn, I don't know how to
Which
say
which one? WON
Chinese currency. W
Oh,
no
W-
YUAN is it? Yuan,
it's
yuan,
Juan. Juan.
yuan.
It's Juan. That's what we call it. Juan.
Yeah. Si bai
Yen is
yuan.
Japanese. Yen would be
Yeah.
Japanese. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so let's just say yen because that's easier. All right. But yeah, and one more thing there to add to Billy. I mean, when this is going out on Friday, which is tomorrow. And on the last Friday of the month, we have the Patreon session for Patreon members, where we do just a Zoom room meeting. Doesn't go live or anything to anybody. We just have a stoner conversation about all sorts of crazy shit. We go off on loads of tangents, conspiracies, politics, ghosts. That's what we're going to be talking about tomorrow or today if you're listening to the download, is if you're a Patreon, then come and join us and tell us some ghost stories. We're going to be talking about some scary movies, a Halloween special kind of stoner meeting here. It's going to be fun, man. I want to hear ghost stories, everybody. I want to hear ghost stories.
I don't
It's
have any
going to be
ghost
cool.
stories.
Yeah, People find ghost stories, man. Come on, tell us about your paranormal experiences and things like that, or crazy times where you've run in with some dodgy people out on the dark streets at night. You know what I'm saying? Scary things, man. Scary things. And we'll do that. Maybe if everyone's cool with it, we'll record it so we can send it as a special Halloween episode or something. That'd be cool. Yeah. So that's it, I think. I think that's it for the Grow Guides on a Thursday rather than on a Sunday. Wasn't that strange, everybody? Wasn't that peculiar? You know? I think, is there anything else to add here, Monkey? We done?
I think we're done.
I think so, yeah. Let's go to the outro then. There's the fucking music coming out of speakers again, cunt. The fuck? Ah.
I hear it.
Yeah. Yeah. Professionally fading out the music that's coming through the speakers for some reason. Gosh.
Unprofessional. See, I'll leave for a week, and this is what I come back to. Dang.
It's like it's all gone tits up, Monkey. It's all
I
gone tits up.
I can't even take a holiday, man. I can't even take a holiday.
Damn. Yeah, sounded fine to Sparky. Thank you, Sparky. Oh, Sparky, by the way, Graham Hancock was on Joe Rogan yesterday.
Was that the debate he was going to do?
Well, yeah, I think he was going to do the debate, but the guy didn't show up. I think the guy's ill or something. The guy was going to
the guy is stalling. Graham knew this was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
He agreed to meet him, and Graham was doubting whether he would go anyway.
Yeah, and it hasn't worked out like that. Well, I tried to listen to the episode yesterday, but I put it on while I was asleep and while I was falling asleep, and I didn't get to listen to much of it. I'm gonna have to go for a long dog walk so I can listen to the whole episode. Mm-hmm. It's always interesting.
You like long dog walks anyway, so.
Oh God, man! I took her for a walk for about 2 hours the other day, across all these hills, through the woods, and it's a place where loads of mushrooms grow. Like all different lots of different kinds of mushrooms, man. It's super cool.
It's Liberty Cap season.
Well, yeah, Liberty Caps grow there, but I can never really find them. I know there's a few patches where they specifically grow there. But, yeah, it's really fucking cool. You know, I just like to look at these different mushrooms and wonder what the fuck they are. My dog was licking one of the mushrooms. I'm like, bro, what the fuck are you doing? It was a massive mushroom, man. I think it was a puffball or something. But damn, it was massive. And he's put his frisbee down next to it and he's walked over to it and just starts licking it. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Don't lick the fucking mushrooms. God damn. Strange dog. Yeah. So, you're proper professional. Thanks, Mad Dog. Yeah, so cool. Yeah, that's what I did when I went on a long dog walk for like 2.5 hours. Shit, it was long, man. And then an hour later, they're like, "Oh, are we going out? Can we go out? Can we go play ball?" So I go, "God damn, they're never happy."
Yeah. Well, it was definitely mushroom season when I was in Oregon, but Liberty Caps were still about a week or two out.
Right.
But my gosh, did we see other mushrooms? It's more varieties than I've ever seen in my life. We don't have that many varieties that grow down here.
Hillbilly Herb says mushrooms are for eating.
The
Hillbilly Herb says mushrooms are for eating, toads are for licking. That's exactly what I said to him, Hillbilly Herb. That's exactly what I said to him. It's like, bro, that's not a toad.
Well, last night I was watching Jimmy Kimmel, and he had somebody on there. I think it was on Kimmel last night.
You watch Jimmy Kimmel? That guy's so lame.
Oh, that's okay. He has some people on there every now and again. It's pretty cool. But he was talking about some guy. He had a guest he had on. He was talking about doing toad venom. I'm going like, oh, I know what he's talking about. I'm sure he was talking about 5-MeO, but he called it toad venom. He says you reach back there on the back leg of the toad, and you scrape off some of the venom, and then you put it in his pipe and you smoke it. And he says he just described, and he said it was the biggest, craziest high he ever went on. It definitely sounded like 5-MeO, but he was calling it toad venom.
Right? Yeah, I think that's what it's called sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, but he had gone down. He had gone somewhere in South America and found this guy who had this frog, and he was describing the frog. He got the toad. He got it out. He said it was the dirtiest, grubbiest, ugliest looking thing. Like he didn't have. like the guy kept it in a bucket in the bottom of a bunch of mud and dirt. It was
But you know,
covered in filth.
it's like,
It's like,
but
oh,
is there a frog that somebody's gonna get up in front of you and be like, you just have to lick this, and you're gonna go, oh, all right, yeah. Well, it is a pretty frog. You're not gonna do that. Oh yeah.
well, he didn't lick it. He smoked it. But yeah,
hmm
still.
Yeah, because you scrape the slime off the
Dried.
toad
He scraped the
and let
dry
it
stuff,
dry.
whatever's on there. Yeah, and then fire it up. So
Yeah, but I've heard people say that you pop the pimples on them, and then
I don't know.
yeah,
I'm
but I don't know
sure.
about that.
Hey, look, the guy was just going quick on a story, so he didn't elaborate. I'm
Yeah,
sure he didn't want to elaborate too much.
yeah, but
But
I
the way
think
he
that's
was talking about it
mil.
was
Yeah.
it was the strongest and longest duration high psychedelic trip that he'd ever been on.
Mm-hmm. Good fun, man. I'd love a couple of those Colorado river frogs. No, Colorado river toads is what they're called. Everybody, if you want to try and get a pet, you can't get them. They are pets.
Mackie, well, that's what Mackie's Christmas list is. There you
Oh
go.
man,
Everybody knows
I would
it now.
fucking look a couple of fucking Colorado river toads, man. Even if I never use them for that purpose, I just think it would cool to have that in like my collection. Like, here's my cacti. Here's
Missus would get tired of that stinky frog hanging around here. Get rid of that damn thing.
My dog wouldn't get tired of it, but fucking
First time the dog licked it and freaked out, he wouldn't go near that damn thing again.
Shit. Good shit, man. Yeah, I'd like them, but yeah, it's expensive to keep frogs like that as well. I think. But toad, I keep saying frogs, but they ain't frogs; they're toads. Anyway, yeah, random tangents that we go on sometimes. But yes, good to have you back there, Monkey. Glad you're feeling better.
I am feeling better.
Good. All right, so we'll wrap this up. We'll put the music on for everybody. Here we go. And don't forget about the session tomorrow. Everybody, think about some scary stories, man. That can be like times where you've had close calls with the old Bill, ghosts, brushes with death. Different things that has happened, man. Some cool, spooky stories. Think about some. Bring them to us tomorrow. Yeah. I've got a cool one. Remind me tomorrow about the Ouija board. Yeah.
Ouija board story?
Yeah, Ouija board story.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I'll tell you a cool one tomorrow.
I'm glad you reminded me about that because I've kind of not been watching my calendar. I didn't even remember what day it was.
It's 26th today, so we 5 days until Halloween. That's just after Sunday, then, isn't it?
Yeah, Halloween's on Tuesday.
Yeah, man. See this? See, I'm gonna go off on a bit of a tangent. Right? I saw this meme up on Facebook, and it was like, British people be like Tuesday, and and they're like ha 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 because we say Tuesday rather than Tuesday, and it's like we've been saying Tuesday for longer than America has been around. I think we're saying it correctly. Thank you.
That one never really caught me. I mean, bottle of water was way worse.
Bottle of water is bad. Yeah, but Tuesday, we're saying it correct.
That should be the national phrase, bottle of water.
Bottle of water.
Come on.
A water bottle. And that metal band one. Shit, funny.
That's funny as hell, man. All you have to do is say bottle of water in front of a British person, and they laugh at themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're good at that. We can laugh at ourselves. But yeah, it's Tuesday with CH at the start. All right. But yeah, it is Tuesday, really. We just pronounce lots of words badly.
I don't know how is Tuesday supposed to be pronounced.
Tuesday.
That's what I thought I said.
No, but it's like British folks say it with like a CH kind of sound at the start, Tuesday.
Oh, you chewing a day? Tuesday? Okay.
That's right. You see how British that sounded, everybody?
Tuesday.
But Americans would be
gotcha.
Tuesday.
Correct.
So it's
as in the second day of the week.
Tuesday.
Yeah. Tuesday.
Mm-hmm.
As in the second day of the week. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, so there you go, everybody. Let us know in the comments. How do you say Tuesday?
I don't know. I just say the day of the week. I'm always the person when somebody says, "How do you say that?" I always get like, "Okay, what are you setting me up for?"
Mm-hmm. Right, there we go then, everybody. We'll catch you on tomorrow if you're a patron. We'll catch you in the session. Bring ghost stories, don't forget. And other than that, we'll see you on Sunday, where we talk about stealth growing. Like stealth to the extent where the other half don't know. You know what
Ooh,
I'm
that's
saying?
scary. That is
Yeah.
scary. That one.
Somebody requested that, and it's an important topic because we come across that often, where people are like, I can't grow because of the missus, you know, or I asked the missus, and the missus is in control a lot, so somebody needs help trying to just get in a little one going
Well,
that
I respect
nobody
that
knows
because
about.
I've always said that your spouse is just as much at risk as you are if you're growing in your home. So everybody needs to be in approval and in agreement
That's
of
right.
what's going on here. So by all means,
That's
I
right.
get
Good,
it.
good topic, man. So I thought we'd do it next week. Well, on Sunday in a few days.
Yeah.
We'll see you then. Happy Halloween, everybody. Stay high and
Yes.
safe, and we'll catch you tomorrow. And if not, we'll catch you Sunday.
See y'all
Goodbye,
on
everybody.
See you Sunday.
Goodbye.